how does SAICA view the significance of mathematical proficiency for the profession, especially in the areas that you operate, financial modeling, risk assessment, and all that?
I wanted to start at the fact that any organization existing in South Africa exists in the context of South Africa. And that means any organization that exists needs to be aware of the challenges that South Africa is facing. Whether we call ourselves business leaders or not, that matters not if we are not interested in solving the challenges that South Africa is facing. I think that's an important point to start on. But back to your question around the importance of maths, Prof, you used the words gateway subject. At the end of the day, as accountants, we don't service accountants. We service the banks, we service the insurance companies, we service the professors, we service everybody. And therefore, if we are not interested in the other professions, we have an issue. And therefore, at the end of the day, as an accountant, I'm not here to think about it just as an accountant. I need to go think about what is happening in Prof's environment as an academic. I need to think about Celiwe and insurance and those modeling, because at the end of the day, when I'm called as an accountant to come and look at Celiwe's books, I can't come blindly and not understand the modeling. I can't come blindly and not understand her business. So at the end of the day, as an accountant, we need to first and foremost understand those aspects. If we understand those aspects, then we realize that we as accountants have to be about engineering. We have to be about the banking sector as well. And that is why for us, maths is quite an important one. And we see two problems with mathematics in the country. We see the problem today and the problem tomorrow. The problem that we're facing tomorrow, Prof has spoken a lot about, if you look at those that are going to be teaching, that number that is 5 there is scaring us, and therefore that means tomorrow we have no educator. But again, we can't just focus on the problem tomorrow. We have kids that are in the system today, so we also have to be about what are we doing for those kids today. If we focus on just that number that Prof showed us, that 5, that's good. We'll solve all the issues tomorrow. By the time we get to have 100 on that 5, we are solved. We are all happy. But the issues that we're facing is we have schools in rural areas where you teach maths not because you're a maths teacher, but because you're a teacher. So if there's a maths teacher that's absent, you become a maths teacher even if you're an accounting teacher. And I work with a CEO who ended up teaching maths because he was a teacher at some point. And therefore we need to be addressing those aspects as well as a country. And those aspects are addressing the challenges that we have with our current pipeline. If I look at it from the sustainability of the country, I would like to be big-headed as SAICA and say we are sustaining the country. We have to be thinking about servicing business for the future. But if I think like that and I think about what is happening in the current, then we are doomed as a country. So we need to really, really start looking at the problem in all of those aspects. But systematically, English is running away. On the wider system basis, we have a big problem because we have systems that are very great, but they don't talk to each other. And because they don't talk to each other, we run into the troubles that we have. You have a kid that gets out of a school and gets out with very beautiful results. And this is a kid that can solve all of our problems as a country, but has maths literacy and a system says, I don't want to take you. But they have A's and all of that because systems are not talking. And I remember not so long ago, I had my primary school teacher came through at home visiting me and came through with their son. And I looked at the son's results, they were brilliant. And they said they passed with a bachelor, but no varsity was taking them because one subject was not at the level that they needed. And that is why even us as accountants, I don't even look at accounting from a kid's results. When I make a decision around where they go, I look first and foremost in their maths, because that subject as a gateway subject opens up a lot of other aspects. So the issue of us as a country being very good at drafting documents does need to stop, because we tend to be very good at at seeing the problem, analyzing the problem, creating the solution on paper, but never stand up to actually solve the problem. And that is why when we think about the future and you think about business aspects and you look at this room, we actually have to think about the problem looking at them, because if we think about the problem in our offices and all of that, we're not solving the problem.
And now you talk about analyzing and having policies and not implementing. And here we are analyzing the problem on a panel. Give me examples of where SAICA has gone out of its way beyond analysis in addressing problems of this nature to help the country get somewhere better than where we are.
So I can start by being a salesperson as well and sell
Go ahead.
the South African Maths Foundation and say, we see the importance of the South African Maths Foundation as SAICA, and that is why we are here in this event as well. And therefore, partnership with the South African Maths Foundation is quite an important one. We also are partnering in their educator development programs because we're looking at tomorrow as well. But beyond that, we also go in all 9 provinces and partner with the provincial departments of education and say, let's look at the kids that are in the pipeline. How do we increase their chances of success right where they are? How do we bring about best practice in the provinces? If I look at this room and the number of schools that are represented in this room, there's so much of schools that are very good at what they do. So much of schools, by me seeing the kids here, that means we have good schools that are good at teaching maths. But right next door, there might be a school that's not so good.
Yeah.
How are we not partnering? And how are we keeping it to ourselves? And yes, I know we want to see results and we want to brag. We want to have as many of my kids in this room, but that's solving a very narrow problem. So if we are looking at South Africa at a wider scope, we don't keep knowledge to ourselves. Right. If you take it to medicine, as a doctor, I don't practice. Not that I'm a doctor. As a doctor, I don't
you
practice.
could be a doctor.
Could be.
Check you on social media.
No, it's not going not on social media. As a doctor, my duty shouldn't be that when I'm seeing Celiwe as my patient, I make Celiwe well. If I figure out ways of making Celiwe well, anybody that's seeing somebody in a situation like Celiwe should be able to make them well because I figured it out. Yeah.
Right.
So it shouldn't be keeping it to ourselves.
Right.
That speaks to collaboration as well.
Excellent. Let's keep that collaboration theme. Thank you very much.